Mardi Gras in New Orleans, first celebrated in 1699, featuring masquerades, music, creepy jesters, and king cakes.
But did you know that the custom was brought over by French settlers who'd been baking king cakes ever since they nicked the idea from the Dutch and Germans in late medieval times? While preparing the king or bean cake to eat on Epiphany Eve, the 12th night after Christmas, the cook would drop a bean, coin, or other small object into the batter. The man who found this object in his slice of cake was declared the king of bean and presided over the feast.
So yeah, as we've discussed, the medieval bean cake is from Mardi Gras in New Orleans, but we know different. We know that bean cake originally came from the medieval times in the UK. Now, we don't need New Orleans anymore because we're going to go traditional, and this is how we're going to do it. First of all, to make this bean cake, you need to scald some milk. Scalding milk just brings it to temperature really quickly to allow it to work with the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to show you how. Small saucepan, just simply half a pint of milk. You'll tell when the milk's scalded because it's going to be bubbling really fiercely and really quickly, which is actually really important in this recipe because it needs to melt the butter really quickly as well. So the half stick of butter goes in the bowl, and the milk now is scalded quite nicely. It's bubbling really fiercely, so that goes in with the butter. What we're going to do now is we're going to let that mix in and just let it come to room temperature. Now, if you're going to make a cake, it's got to raise, and without a raising agent, it's not going to work. So this is where we use some basic yeast. And what you need to do is get some warm water. It has to be warm, otherwise the yeast won't react. And of course, let's not forget, without white sugar, yeast isn't going to do anything at all. It needs the sugar to make it work. So we add a tablespoon of white sugar and wait for the magic to happen. Okay, here is the butter milk mixture. First of all, this goes into the yeast. I'm going to put in the rest of the sugar and then nutmeg. This is great fun. You can get your kids to do this actually. This is like throwing stuff in a bowl. Very, very simple. If you've got one of these fantastically easy to use electronic salt grinders, flour in the sieve, sieve it through, sieve it through, sieve it through. Once you do 1 cup at a time, then you need to slowly fold it in. So you get this in, and you've got to let this settle now, and you've got to let it slowly rise and take shape until it's about twice its size. Now this is the most fun bit that everyone likes about baking, and that's making a mess. So let's make some mess. Bit of flour on the surface. And what you're going to do is you're going to turn the mixture out onto the flour. Bring it there, bring it together. The more you mold it, the more the air particles are going to get bigger. It's going to get bouncier. It's going to get nicer in the mix, okay? You've got to do this about 8 to 10 minutes. Really bring it together. Don't stop. Work those muscles out. Give yourself a workout before Christmas Day. You can eat as much turkey as you like. Okay, so that's the kneading done, giving that a good pummeling, and that's now ready to rest. And give the bowl a good wipe round. Now what we're going to do now is make sure it stays nice and moist. So we're going to take a sheet of this, go to the tap, give it a squeeze, and all you're going to do is bring it back out to its circle, very simply, lay it over the top, and take it somewhere nice and warm to rest. Okay, while we're waiting for the bean cake to rise, we're going to prepare the filling. First we need to melt some butter. We need, number 1, chopped pecans. Done. Number 2, dried raisins. Number 3, nice, sweet, sticky brown sugar. And number 4, a tablespoon of ground cinnamon.
Give it a good old squish around. You want loads and loads of gungy bits in there.
Check our butter. Oh yeah. Just drizzle it over the top. Stir all the ingredients together. And while you're doing that, just as a binder, just spoon in some flour. This is going to make the filling for that bean cake. And what we're going to do is once this is all accumulated together, we're going to set it to one side, and then we're going to start working with that big pile of dough we made earlier on. Take that piece of round aura off, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to flour the surface. We are going to basically get our hands in there and bring this out onto the surface like this. One side. And what you're going to do, just roll it around the flour, dry it out a bit, and then using a sharp knife, straight in half. Like that, simple as that. And put them to one side as well. And just grease it around. Another sheet of this aura, just roll it around so it doesn't stick. And just roll this out to about 1/4 of an inch thick. half the mixture, chuck it on the dough, okay? And spread it evenly. So take it from the edge and just very slowly roll and roll and roll, making sure that you've floured the surfaces enough so it doesn't stick. Don't want any gaps. Roll it a roll. There we go. And then you got like a tube full of stuff. And then you do this. Seal the ends together, and that's number one done. Once you've got your 2 rounds, you take 1 to each tray, and you are going to lift and place. What you need to do now is let those rise for 45 minutes somewhere warm and cozy. And when you come back, we'll be putting them in the oven and finishing off our bean cake. Nice and scoring like that. Let's put them in the oven. Okay, number 1, 160 degrees. Number 2, they only take half an hour. Put the kettle on, put your feet up, and watch TV. Okay, so the bean cake has been cooking, it's been out of the oven, it's been cooled. Take a look at these guys. Now, here's the fun bit. We're going to take them out of the baking tray and place them on a serving dish. What can we do with these to make them look even more special? Well, we can do some very basic icing or frosting. Some plain icing sugar into a bowl. Okay, what I would do is then add a little bit of water, and with a fork, all you've got to do is very gently and quickly whisk it in. And as it's Christmas, just a splash of red food colouring, and let's just all over the cakes. And to finish it off and give it that Christmas touch, like a sheet of virgin snow, a little bit of a dusting of icing sugar, and there you have it. Medieval Christmas bean cake.